Welcome to the Blue Chair. My name is Moon, and today we are going to analyze Netflix's Irish Wish. Just a quick note. First, go and watch the movie. It's only fair to see the source material and give it the credit that it's due. Second, I'm going to give my opinions and my analysis, so there will be spoilers, and you should form your own opinions before you listen to mine. And fourth, my main object of study is novel writing, so here my analysis or criticism will be based on specifically the stories, characters, and arcs, not necessarily the cinematography or the techniques behind script writing. Here we just analyze stories and try to apply what we learned to novel writing. I quite enjoyed this movie. I think it had the vibes and it was light. The actors did a great job, and of course, Ireland is gorgeous. I mean, exhibits A, B, and C. I wish I had more culture, Irish culture, you know? It felt like Ireland was more of a backdrop than an actual character per se. You know what I mean? When you can see that a country is almost like a character and you can feel the culture in how everyone behaves and what they say and how they say it. And here we had a couple of Irish actors. However, I didn't feel like I was in Ireland necessarily, you know, like absorbed by the environment. So in the first few minutes, we see Maddie arriving in a taxi and Paul arriving in a fancy car. Everyone is going crazy because he arrived, and they smile at each other. Then Maddie crosses the street and meets Paul. He's there with the journalists, and he makes a point of bringing her to the spotlight and thanking her and saying how amazing she is and how this wouldn't have happened without her and all of that. With this intro, the problem is that we don't have a context. We don't know how to feel about the fact that she's seeing him, the fact that he's saying all this nice stuff about her. We don't have an emotion associated with that because we are not in the character's mind yet. And when Paul says that he needs to talk to her, we don't feel excited, we don't feel intrigued, we don't feel the tension, we don't feel anything because there's no foundation for it. The only way we can actually have an emotion and analyze this intro and understand what's going on is if we had an external context of the story, like knowing you are watching a romance movie, like have seen the posters, you know he's a main character, you have seen the trailer or read the blurb, etc., etc. You only know that she is happy to see him and she loves him without him knowing because of all these external factors. Otherwise, there's no meaning behind it. And for me, a story needs to depend only on itself to make the reader understand it, to make the reader feel emotions. I should understand what's happening and have context. Even if I entered a dark room and not know what movie was going to be played, I still need to understand the context and how a character is feeling from the get-go. So in the next scene, we have Maddie receiving a call from her mom asking how her declaration is going. And Maddie explains how she has not yet told him, but he says that he's going to talk to her, and we understand that she means that he's going to declarate his love for her, basically explaining what we should have known from the top. So imagine this: you get Maddie getting out of the car and talking to her mom. Maddie: Mom, Paul gets me. He's attentive, kind, he's always looking for my opinions. When he looks at me, I feel like the most important person in the world. Mom: Well, then you should tell him how you feel. Maddie: I won't have to. He said that he has something life-changing to talk about, and you know what that means. Mom: I'm happy for you, honey. But remember, if he doesn't... Maddie: He will. Mom: If he doesn't, you'll have to speak up for yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. Maddie: Speaking of, I've sent you a copy. Have you read it? Mom, looking at assistant coming in: Oh, I've gotta go. I'll make time for it next week, okay? Maddie: Yeah, sure. It's no big deal anyway. Mom has already hung up. Now we understand why it's important to her that he is bringing her into the spotlight and thanking her in front of everyone, and how the talk he wants to have with her is basically validating her misbelief that he's in love with her. And like this, you understand when Paul eventually doesn't declare himself, how that is destroying her and breaking her heart. That's why we are here. That's basically a writer's job. Break every character in every way possible. So that was the status quo on Maddie's romantic life. Now we meet the girls, Emma and Heather, and honestly, the scene gave me absolutely nothing. Not gonna lie. The only thing that we learn is that Paul is Irish. The scarf that Maddie lost in the taxi is completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. The fact that it's from Emma's work, we don't need to say that, because in a few minutes, when she's going to meet Paul, she's going to tell him again that she works with luxury products and whatnot. Just choose one. We don't need both. Choose one time and it's good. The fact that Heather designed the book cover is completely irrelevant as well. This was a perfect scene to show us what kind of relationship Maddie has with Emma, especially because she, Emma, is part of this romance, sort of open square thing going on. Like, does Maddie let her walk all over her? Does Maddie let her take what's hers, or whatever it is, the relationship that they have, it should have been shown. Otherwise, we don't know what's the foundation to which the whole story is going to be built on. And to be honest, till the very end, we don't even know what kind of relationship they have. We know that they are nice to each other and they care about each other. Okay, but what else? No relationship is perfect, and no relationship is absent of conflict, and that's what this needed. This relationship needed conflict. And when I say conflict, I don't mean drama. Drama is one thing, conflict is another. Conflict is simply two truths being incompatible and unable to exist at the same time. Until the very end, we don't see the conflict. We don't see how them being in love with the same person is affecting their relationship. And I was like, how is that possible? No matter what, it's going to have some effect on their relationship. For example, this analogy is already bad in my head, but I'm gonna say it anyway. They both like cheesecake, and there's an infinite amount of cheesecake, so there's no conflict. But the day there is only one cheesecake, there's conflict, because they have to decide what to do with the only cheesecake there is. So are they going to share it? One is going to eat it all. I don't know. None is going to eat it. This analogy is the worst, and I regret it already. But you understand what I mean? When they were able to be in love with everybody else, it was okay. There was no conflict. But the moment that they both became in love with the same person, the conflict was created, because they are both in relationship with each other and to the person in question. So there is a triangle, and something is going to affect the other. It's impossible not to. Even if it's just amicable, you don't have, like I said, conflict is not drama. You don't have to go all out and people screaming and all of that. No, that's not necessary, but there has to be some sort of conflict and some sort of friction in their relationship. And here it wasn't, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. We have the inciting incident, and here is when Maddie doesn't tell Paul how she feels, and Paul meets Emma and starts to fall in love with her. Paul and Emma's meet was cute, so I don't have anything to say about that. What I want to say is the reading session after it is probably the only note on cinematography that I have, because I don't understand about cinematography, so I could not tell you what's wrong and what's right. But it felt like they were too far apart, you know? There was literally rows of chairs between Paul and Emma and Maddie. It felt like the opposite of what was happening emotionally to the characters, you know? If they are falling in love, they need to be brought in together. I feel like the space needed to portray what was happening emotionally to the characters. I wish that Emma was glued to the first chair and be enamored with Paul's every single word, and then maybe Maddie either on her side or to the side, portraying how they are going to push her aside a little bit, and she, Maddie, being like, what's going on? Wait, are they falling for each other? Like actually portraying what was happening emotionally in the scene. I think it would be cool.
I can't believe Paul and Emma are getting married. It all happened so fast.
Like whiplash.
Welcome to Ireland.
Then we have another key point in this Act 1, that is Maddie and James meet at the airport, and Maddie sort of breaks the lock on James's bag, and they have a little cuteness going on, but it felt like it could have been a little more. It felt like it ended on a comma instead of a period. I wanted more. I was expecting a little more. There's a pattern in this script that is, when things are getting interesting, they cut to another and they just bail off, and I'm like, no, why? No, come back. I want to go back. Things were getting good. We were going beyond the surface. Why are we leaving? It happened again on the bus when they were meeting for the second time. Maddie, as if he's a photographer, he says he's a nature photographer and that he's struggling because everyone has a camera in their pocket nowadays. And she simply says, I never thought of that. And it ends there. Like, what are you talking about? That's it? You could have said literally anything else. Just add something. Give me something. Like I said before, like, we are going beyond the surface, and the script was like, nope, I'm out. Why? This is a romance movie. We need to know the characters and understand why are they falling in love with each other. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Oh, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Now we jump to the first plot point, the wish. Whenever you have a magic system, we need to know the rules and the limitations of it. No matter how simple or how complex it is, we, viewers or readers, need to understand how it works and the stakes that entails. Take Cinderella, for example. The only thing that we need to know is that the magic wears off at midnight. That gives us stakes. She needs to accomplish everything that she wants before midnight. Another example, Genie from Aladdin. We have rules that he cannot bring anyone back from the dead, he cannot make anyone fall in love with anyone, and he cannot kill anyone, I think. Those are the rules that bind him. And then also that for each person there are 3 wishes. When the story progresses, when he only has 1 wish, we understand that the stakes are high. And we want to know what he's going to do with the last wish. We don't need to understand how the genie got powers or how the whole magic of the genie works. We only need to understand how the wishes work, because that's what we're going to see. That's what's going to matter to the story. Anything more is irrelevant, anything else is missing. Here, we don't need to understand how Bridget came to her powers, but we need to understand how the wishes work. Can I undo them? Can I have more than one? Can I only wish for myself, or can I wish for someone else? Anything that's relevant to the story. And here in this story, nothing is really established, and that leaves us in a gray area that is kind of iffy. For example, when Maddie goes after Bridget in the wedding dress scene, goes after Bridget asking her not to take the wish, the first thing I thought was, can she do that? Was that a thing that could happen? Because the rules of the wish were never established. So it feels like anything can happen. And when anything can happen, the stakes, the urgency, the anxiety is just not existent, you know? Another example of a weird wish-related symptom, when Maddie wakes up, she doesn't remember she made a wish. Why is that important? I swear, even after working on this analysis, I still don't understand why is it important that she doesn't remember after making the wish. And we spent 4 minutes in this whole idea, in her endeavor to try and understand that she's actually marrying Paul Kennedy. I'm genuinely asking, and if you understand why, just let me know in the comments, because I didn't understand why and I really wanted to. We move on to Act 2 and the action is rising. So then Maddie and James are going to scout some sites for background on the wedding photos. They are in the car and Maddie's explaining how Paul clicked with her right off the bat. And James goes, I guess opposites attract when responding to that. And my question is, how does he know that they are opposites? You know, post-wish, they literally met twice, and only one of them was with Paul. And in that scene, there was nothing that really revealed that they were opposites. You know, it feels like it's something that the writer knows and is trying to impose to the reader, and not something that the movie actually showed. Then we reach the midpoint and like is becoming love. Maddie and James are getting closer. I overall like Maddie and James's scenes together. I think they were nice. The dialogue could have been polished up a bit. Not crazy about the cliche dialogue lines, but it is what it is. But then when a tree blocks their path, I wish we had Bridget be more active in the bringing James and Maddie closer. I want to have Bridget cut the tree or just bring the bad weather so that the tree could fall in. Bridget, is the antagonist, as in she is working against Maddie's wishes of marrying Paul. So she's the antagonist, and I wanted to see an active role of her as the antagonist instead of wasting the talent of an actor on meaningless scenes with her mom. It's just, seriously, it would be much better if we focus Bridget on the main couple instead of having her in a subplot that doesn't even matter really. And then we move on to when James and Maddie have a fight, and the fact that he asks, is everything that you imagined? It's a great question, especially for one who made a wish. And for Maddie, that had this idea of what it was like to marry Paul and be with Paul. She then stands up for herself, like, good, hashtag character growth. But then the second part lost me completely. When he says, because you asked, and if you were my girlfriend, I would have asked you first. What? What are you talking about? How is it important that he would ask first? And I don't understand. Like, how? It gave me nothing. It left me confused. That's what it is. It just left me confused. Why were they saying this? It felt like it was disconnected from what they have experienced so far. First of all, I love that they did not extended the fight for more than is necessary. Like, thank you. Then we hit the climax. Maddie and Paul's wedding. She makes a speech. It was pretty and it was well delivered. Lindsay is very good at her job. and she gets emotional. I get emotional. Everything is nice. And then somehow they break into a fight. Like a physical fight. And I'm like, why? What? No. What are you doing? This childish behavior just breaks out of nowhere. Like, seriously, James, it's me. I just leave. I don't know. No childish behavior, please. And then Maddie goes and takes the wish back. Like I said, that rule was never established. And I wish that they established that she can't take the wish back, because then with that limitation of the magic system, now that everything has gone bad, she would have to stand up for herself. She would have to be assertive, take responsibility for her actions and for what she wants and what she does not want. I feel like it will be a much clearer character arc, and it would push her in that direction. We had whole other subplots, whole other levels of I need to speak up for myself that were not resolved. And I wanted that resolution. But before you go, just a small question though. Why did she not go after James immediately? And she let the whole 3 days go by, the wedding go by, and then she went to meet James. Why did she let the whole time go by? I don't know. And that brings me to my final note, that is the stakes. So the stakes are basically, where is the ticking time bomb under the table? You know, why is this all important? Where is the, if I don't, then something horrible will happen, you know? Like, if I don't marry Paul, then this horrible thing would happen. She marrying Paul or not marrying Paul, it feels like the same. We don't know Maddie as a character in full, so we don't know her fears or her misbeliefs. We only know her desire or her goal, that is to marry Paul. But then the question, why does she want to marry Paul, is not really answered. We needed to answer the question why she wants to marry Paul in order to have a plot that can let her explore that and change her misbelief. The whole point of a character is either to maintain, to aggravate, or change, for the positive in this case, a character's misbelief. So imagine that Maddie's misbelief is that nobody cares about her, nobody wants her opinions, she's just a background character, a footnote that it's not worthy of attention or time, right? So Maddie's fear will be that she will always be in that situation, she will never feel important, never feel loved, and she would not be a main character ever and never worthy of someone else's attention. And then Maddie's desire will be to have those things, to feel important, to be assertive, to be the spotlight. And then when she meets Paul, all of these things materialize, and then her misbelief becomes, Paul is the only person that can make me feel important, that makes me feel seen, that makes me feel heard, that my opinions are valid and all of that. And her desire then materializes into being with Paul, you know, having a relationship with Paul. But then Emma takes away that from her. Her fear is so strong that she needs to push a little further and marry Paul. The motivation will be, I want to marry Paul because he makes me feel, or he's the only person that makes me feel that I am important, that my opinions are valid and heard. How can I achieve that, since now that Emma took that away from me, making a wish to Bridget, you know? That will be the whole plot. Okay, so we are done for today. I hope you had fun and you learned a lot. I sure did. I actually enjoy this movie and learned a lot from it, especially about characters and how characters and plot go together. And I will see you next time. Okay? Bye! Bye!